because I predict these things.
Jhonata Diniz takes on Alvin Hines this Saturday on the prelims of UFC 317. And this is a short notice fight that got thrown together. Jhonata Diniz, he's supposed to be fighting Justin Tafa, who had to pull out, so they are bringing in Alvin Hines, undefeated fighter off the regional scene, 7-0. Last fight was a head kick knockout in the LFA, bringing him in to take on Jhonata Diniz on short notice. So curious to see how this one plays out. You know, undefeated heavyweight, hasn't fought the best competition that I can see, and Jhonata Diniz, you know, he's looked decent in the UFC. Kind of got exposed with his ground game in his last fight against Marcin Tybura. He lost that one by doctor stoppage into round 2 back in November. So about 7-8 months removed from the octagon, making his return against Alvin Hines on short notice. So Alvin Hines, 33 years old, he's 6'2", with a 74-inch reach, and like I said, undefeated, 7-0. He's a powerful guy, you know, powerful kicks, big power in the punches, puts a lot into every shot, just kind of rudimentary striking. I was watching some of his fights on YouTube, his regional fights. Just looks like he's kind of flailing at times against his opponents. Did have a good head kick knockout in his last fight, but just looking through his record, not the best top tier competition that he's been fighting. He doesn't really have a wrestling background or jiu-jitsu background. Tried some takedowns in his last fight against Billy Ray Valdez and was just unsuccessful. And Billy Ray Valdez, you know, not a prime athlete by any means, so I don't think that Alvin Hines is really going to be able to work his takedown game against Jhonata Diniz, just because he's shown okay takedown defense in the past against Carl Williams early, and I'm sure that he's been drilling that extensively in the time that he's been out, just because he was taken down pretty easily by Marcin Tybura. So Alvin Hines, he's been very active. He had his amateur debut back in 2011, took a big break, and then came back, had 2 amateur bouts in 2022, and he's had 8 fights at the pro level in the last year and a half. So just absolutely crazy. 33 years old, middle of his prime, looking to make a run and stay active and, you know, getting his shot in the UFC on short notice. Jhonata Diniz, he's 34, 6'4", with a 79.5-inch reach, and he's 8-1, so he was undefeated before his most recent loss to Marcin Tybura. So he will be 1 year older, 2 inches taller, and he will have a 5.5-inch reach advantage, which I think is going to be significant because I expect this one to take place on the feet. But like I said, Jhonata Diniz, he was on a really good streak there for a while before he ran into Marcin Tybura. Again, that fight was on short notice. He was supposed to be taking on, who was it? He was supposed to be fighting Derek Lewis, who had to pull out, and then he fought Marcin Tybura a couple of weeks later. But he's a big dude. 6'4", 255 pounds. Alvin Hines, he's a big guy as well, 6'2", 260 pounds, but he is going to be the longer guy, more experienced. Former K1 kickboxer, black belt in Muay Thai, moves really well with great footwork for a heavyweight. Great low kicks, throws quick, powerful kicks, and then steps back out of the pocket to avoid takedowns and avoid counters. Same with his hands, you know, just has a great left hook, a powerful right hand. Doesn't overcommit to his punches to kind of put him out of position to get taken down. Just kind of stays pretty balanced to avoid takedowns for the most part. Obviously, he was taken down the last time by Marcin Tybura, but we saw that against Carl Williams. He was able to defend takedowns at the beginning of the fight, land his punches, avoid getting hit, avoid getting, you know, pushed against the cage and taken down, and just did a good job of getting his underhooks when Carl Williams shot in to defend the takedowns. So Diniz, he's only been doing MMA for 2.5 years, but he's been doing kickboxing and, you know, striking martial arts for so much longer than Alvin Hines, which is why I got to go with him. You know, he's light years ahead of Hines in the striking. And I can't imagine that Alvin Hines is going to be able to just out-grapple him or land a lucky punch on him. Jhonata has been the one who's been in camp preparing for a fight as well. They're, like I said, they're both young in their MMA careers, but Diniz has just been kickboxing for so much longer. He's been kickboxing at a high level for like 15 years, and I just think he's on another level with his striking. I think he'll just be slamming leg kicks against Hines, throwing quick punches, moving out of the pocket away from takedowns or any counter offense that the Hines is going to be bringing his way. And I think he'll just kind of immobilize Hines to a degree and start lining him up with his crispy striking, decrease Hines's kind of his explosiveness and his power on the feet, prevent his takedowns. And I just think he has more experience. You know, he's fought better competition, fought good guys in the UFC, already been in the UFC a few times, so he's kind of got those jitters out, whereas Alvin Hines, you know, taking this fight on short notice in the UFC, this is probably his one shot at getting into the UFC, being 33 years old. And I just don't think he has the skills to take somebody out like Jhonata Diniz, who does have holes in his game, but it's not the striking. And I think that's where this fight's going to take place. I don't think Alvin Hines has the, you got to be a good wrestler to beat somebody like Jhonata Diniz. And I just don't see Hines having the grappling ability or being able to push a high pace against Jhonata Diniz to get the win. I just don't think he's going to have the cardio on short notice to continue to shoot against somebody like Diniz to eventually get the takedowns. We saw in that Carl Williams fight, he started to get taken down late in the fight. But I don't think Diniz is going to be able to get to late in the fight. I think this is going to be a first or second round KO. I just think he's not the best striker on the feet. Hasn't fought anybody as near as good as Jhonata Diniz. And I think Diniz gets this one done by KO. Thanks.